Hello folks, I'm going to do a little video here on IQ, and this is something that has interested me for a number of years, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a little video on it. I've already done like one video, but it actually took a little bit longer than what I thought it was going to take, so I'm going to try to run through these slides a little bit faster this time. IQ ranges from 0 to 200, and the average score for individuals is 100. And about 2/3 of the population is between 85 and 115, and there's very few people that are below 70 and very few people that are above 130. So let me run on to the next slide here. For decades, practitioners have reported that IQs decline with age at the beginning of adulthood, and that's probably because once people get out of school at about the age of 18, where adulthood starts, is a lot of them, they really don't continue to read and write and do mathematics. There's a couple of different types of intelligence that the people who study this sort of stuff talk about. There's fluid intelligence and there's crystalline intelligence. Fluid intelligence, they say, decline with age after early adulthood, and that's fluid intelligence is the ability to solve new problems by using reasoning. One reason why that may happen is because during early adulthood you've solved all those simple fluid intelligence problems. Once you get older, the fluid intelligence problems become much more difficult, and even if you were younger, you couldn't solve them because you've already solved all the simple ones. Crystalline intelligence has to do with knowledge-based ability dependent on education and experience. So crystalline intelligence, knowledge, education, and experience. So that tells you right there that higher education people will have higher IQs. You're not born with a specific IQ. You're actually, your IQ develops throughout your life. Raw scores on IQ tests from many populations have been raising on a scale that's 3 points per decade since the early 20th century. Of course, the scale is constantly adjusted so that the average IQ will be 100. So it's called the Flynn effect. Eugenics is refers to the principles of heredity to use to improve the human race, and that can be done. Eugenics can improve the human race not only physically but mentally, and that was done in Nazi Germany. The Nazi did some eugenics experiments, and also in the United States there was a period where there was sterilization that took place of individuals with low IQs because they wanted people to be smarter. That no longer takes place, and of course back during slavery the black population was mated with certain individuals were mated based on physical characteristics, and that improved the physical stamina and of the black people. And as a result, many of the football players and basketball players of today are as a result got those superior physical attributes, and they have benefited from what happened to their ancestors back during the slavery period. And also, of course, what happens is people that are less advantaged and don't have proper food and nutrition, they have to be more stronger to survive. It's survival of the fittest. So you'll find your strongest physical attributes in populations where there's not an abundance of food and medical care and so forth. You have to be strong to survive in those populations. This is a chart of the IQ distribution among the population, and this is not only the United States, but this is worldwide. If you were to compare the IQ graphs of different countries, you would see some difference here. They wouldn't all exactly be like this, but the average IQ would be should be somewhat similar. You may find in certain populations that if you compare it to the overall world IQ, that in certain populations, certain countries, the this graph may be somewhat skewed, whereas it would peak down here, or in other countries it may peak over in this area. So you can see 130 to 145, these are your college professors, your intellectuals are up in this area. Down in this area are your menial laborers, your farm laborers, your people who use picks and shovels and so forth. And some of your skilled laborers are over in this area here. And the higher the skill level, they're going to be higher up on this curve, the higher the skill level that's required. So let me get on down through here. I don't want this to take too long. The other video that I did on this was quite long. Intelligence levels. Any child with an IQ above 70 is considered normal, and those with scores above 130 were considered gifted. Now, are those children really gifted with scores above 130? No, not necessarily. What can happen is they can be, their parents could have really, really worked with them, reading books to them and so forth, and that's why they score so high on the IQ scale. Whereas these children here that score down around 70 or a little bit above 70, their parents have not worked with them anywhere near enough. So it's not only it's a matter of your social economic status and how what kind of environment you're raised in, whether or not people have read to you and taught you how to read and taught you how to write and worked with you on those things. So this is morons, imbeciles, and idiots. Morons are people with IQs between 51 and 70. They got adequate learning skills to complete menial tasks and to communicate. In other words, they can work. These people can work. Imbeciles and idiots. These people, it's very difficult for them to work and do any sort of employment because they can't communicate and they can't follow orders. So there are some people that just cannot function in society and make a living for themselves. They have to be taken care of. Adults can harvest vegetables and repair furniture if they've got an IQ of at least 60. Adults can do domestic work. That is, they can do house cleaning and clean floors, make up beds and so forth if they have an IQ of 50. So they can work. If we go back to the chart before, those people are morons, okay? And they got to have like an IQ of 50 to be able to do house cleaning and household chores. So, this talks about human genes. A large proportion of the over 17,000 human genes are thought to have have an effect on the development and functionality of the brain. While a number of individual genes have been reported to be associated with IQ, none have a real strong effect. So there's no one particular gene that determines what your IQ is going to be. So it's not only a matter of heredity, it's also it's much more a matter of your social economic status and the way you're taught when you're a young person. So in conclusion, what I want to talk about here. Does IQ decline with age? Not necessarily. IQ can really improve with age if you continue to read and write and do research and study things. Heredity, can IQ be inherited? Perhaps somewhat. Super intelligent people, like many college professors and people in the intellectual community, when they get married and have children, a lot of times they produce very, very intelligent offspring. Wealth, does IQ help you? Not necessarily. There are some, many of the people with really high IQs don't really do well and function well in society. They're too busy thinking about things, and they don't necessarily function really, really super good in society. It was Albert Einstein who had a high IQ. It was said that he really couldn't take care of himself very well. He had people that helped him quite a bit. Now, he was a genius, but still yet he, as far as basic health and living and so forth, taking care of himself, he had problems doing that. And a lot of people with high IQs are kind of the same way. They're so caught up in things that they're thinking about that they don't necessarily take care of themselves. Health, does high IQ help? I think so. I think the more intelligent you are, the more apt you are to take care of yourself and to not become obese. I think a lot of the really obese people, I think if you did a comparison and checked the IQ of really obese people compared with people who are not obese, I think that you would find that the IQ of the obesity, of the people with obesity and high, not necessarily obese, but overweight, high up on the what's called the BMI scale, the body mass index scale, I think you would find that their IQs are somewhat lower than the IQs of people who are normal weight. Ignorance is bliss. I want to talk about that just a little bit. Notice during my life I've seen a lot of people with Down syndrome, a lot of people who are mentally challenged, and I've always found that those people were very happy, and they may not have a job, they may be living with their parents, somebody may be taking care of them, but they were very happy. I mean, if they got an ice cream cone, they were in heaven. I mean, it was really wonderful to deal with these people and to be around these people because they were so happy. Very small, simple things made them happy. The more intelligent a person is, the more they realize things, and they don't have this happiness that a lot of these people who are mentally challenged have. So is intelligence a disease? Perhaps. There have been many people who have been really, really smart that have committed suicide because they couldn't learn enough, fast enough. And the more intelligent you are, the more you worry about things. You worry about global warming. You worry about aliens in outer space. You worry about volcanoes. You worry about hurricanes. You worry about all these things, and you think about all these things. Whereas if you're really mentally challenged, you don't even know about them things. Let's think about them. So is intelligence a disease? Possibly. Eugenics, physical and mental. And what does this 39 have to do with anything there? I don't have the slightest idea what this 39 has to do with anything. That's just something, typo or something that's on the end. But eugenics, physical and mental, yeah, eugenics is possible, can be done. It can be done to improve the human race physically and mentally. So anyway, that all this information is from the internet, and you can look those things up and learn for yourself. Thanks.